Hey everyone, today we're drinking coffee talking about the Mavic 3. We're going to talk about why I haven't bought it yet, what it would take for me to buy it, and what would put me over the top. If you're on the fence on the Mavic 3, this video is for you. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in today. We're drinking coffee and talking about the Mavic 3. There's a few reasons I didn't get the Mavic 3 yet. It didn't have some of the upgrades over the Mavic 2 that I was kind of hoping for and expecting. I was expecting built-in 3 nautical mile strobes, which would be a nice addition to the Velcro currently sticking on my Mavic 2. I was also hoping for a speed increase, maybe 55, 60 miles an hour, something like that. But I definitely expected a speed increase in the obstacle avoidance feature, and it doesn't really look like it's there. It's great that you can fly sideways, but I was just expecting a little bit more. A couple other things about the Mavic 3. There's an inability if you crash on the Cine version to extract anything that you shot from the hard drive. I think that's a big problem. You need to be able to get off any data and any video that you shot, even in a minor or a severe wreck. And if you have an SD card, you pop it out. I understand you can't run ProRes with an SD card. I get that, but you know, they got to figure that out, or you know, it's never going to be perfect for professionals. So that's what I think about that. The other thing is the controller. The controller on this thing, it's a downgrade over the Mavic 2. I mean, it really is. And then forcing people to buy the smart controller for the Cine version, come on. You know, people don't necessarily want that. Maybe they do, but the smart controllers have a history of not running third-party apps as well. And you know, if there's an upgrade, somewhere else comes out with a brighter screen like the Crystal Sky, you can't get it if you're locked in. And I just don't like the locked-inness of that controller. Oh yeah, and if you're watching this, do I even need to mention the incomplete firmware and that garbage software? I mean, come on, you know, we want a professional grade app to run this drone on our devices. We don't want to be forced into a smart controller, and we don't want to downgrade to a more consumer instead of a prosumer version of an app. So you're probably thinking, well, geez, Joe, you got a lot of opinions on the Mavic 3 for a guy who doesn't have one. Well, what is it going to take for me to buy one? And I got a few things. First, the firmware software issue's got to be fixed. The vortex ring state issue, where if you drop suddenly, the drone almost wants to hit the ground, that is a huge issue. And I'm sure they're going to fix that on the first firmware upgrade. Another thing they got to work on is that DJI Fly app. That's got to be made a little more professional, a little more intuitive. I would love to see some shortcuts for people who use different settings in different situations. It's kind of tough to remember 8 or 9 different settings just to go from video to shooting photos, for example. So they got to work on that. A couple other things that are going to help me with my decision to move ahead and buy the Mavic 3 is, you know, we've got to get third-party app support, and I know that that's coming. DJI has to release the API to the other companies like DroneLink, Litchi, Drone Deploy, stuff like that before they can even start developing stuff. Until then, you can't use the Mavic 3 for mapping, period. We need support for those apps for this to be a viable professional choice for a drone. It's just not enough of an upgrade over the Mavic 2 in a lot of ways to push me from the Mavic 2 to upgrade to the Mavic 3. Unfortunately, there's also one more issue that I haven't heard anybody discuss yet, but it could really force me to upgrade from the Mavic 2 to the Mavic 3, and that's basically the Mavic 2 slowly being phased out. And so what that means is pretty soon, once our batteries wear down, we may not be able to buy batteries, we may not be able to buy new props, we may not be able to buy parts if we wreck, and the software support for that is going to slowly diminish. So we're going to see that app, that DJI Go app for professionals, slowly not work on new devices, especially on the Android side. But that's what I see coming, and that would force me ultimately to upgrade to the Mavic 3. So what could really put me over the top tomorrow and push me out to Best Buy and pick up that Mavic 3? There's probably 2 things that could really do it. First, if Shiba spikes again, I'm in. It's a really expensive drone, and I don't want to buy the basic version. I want to buy the Cine version because anything less isn't enough of an upgrade over the Mavic 2 that I currently fly. And second, and probably more seriously, an interchangeable lens system. It's never going to be on par with the Inspire 2, but if we could change lenses somehow, I think that would be a big upgrade, and that would really, really put it neck and neck with the Inspire 2 for prosumers like myself in a lot of ways. I think that could really, really be a huge, amazingly cool thing. But if we're honest, the Inspire 3 is coming. we just have to wait. They're not going to talk about it until this initial maiden release of the Mavic 3 is done and over and run. But I think in about a year, we'll start hearing a lot more about the Mavic 3 release. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in today to Drones and Coffee. I'm your host, Joe Kyle, coming at you from Sedona, Arizona this week. Hey, if you already have a Mavic 3 and you love it and you think that everything I said is completely wrong, leave me a comment down below and tell me how stupid I am. And as always, like and subscribe if you got anything from today's video, and make sure that you click the link below for this week's weekly Amazon surprise item. All right, guys, see you next week.